fam, welcome to George Reviews. I am the 80s Transformers fan, and today on George Reviews we'll be taking a look at Bandai Namco, Bandai Spirits, Tamashii Nations, SH Figuarts, King Cole. Here is the giant window box packaging. It is huge compared to a standard packaging. Real quick, just to show you, this was the packaging for Mecha Frieza, and it is dwarfing this thing. But back to King Cole, a lot of people have been questioning whether or not we even need this figure. It seems like that's a lot of the chatter in the SH Figuarts Dragon Ball community lately, like Kui and some of the other figures. Like, do we really need this guy? Yes. How many times are we going to get Goku in an orange gi with a hair color change? You know what I'm saying? We need new characters, fresh bodies. And I don't see them ever being able to use this body again except for a repaint. Like, none of his parts are, I think, will fit on anybody. And of course, they might give him an event exclusive and make him that metallic-y pearlized look thing. But like, it's like, you got to get this guy. I'm so happy they made this guy. And then there's the whole question of the price point, which is pretty darn high. My only question is, do we actually need the throne? But speaking of questions surrounding King Cole, he's sparked questions for years in the Dragon Ball Z community. And the two big ones are, can he transform? Is he in his final state, or is there a transformation beyond this? And was he more powerful than Frieza? And I want to weigh in on those before I get this guy open, give you my opinion on it. And the first one I want to weigh in on is, was he stronger than Frieza? And I say yes, without a doubt. I don't even see how it's a debate. And people talk about the manga versus the anime, and the dialogue was different, suggesting that Frieza was actually stronger in the manga, and people count the manga over the anime. I never read the manga for this saga, but if you go by what was illustrated, first of all, a guy that's second in command and the son that has taken power would not go save his more powerful son and put him back in a position of power over him. That's my first reasoning where King Cole is stronger. And then the interaction between the two. King Cole was never frightened around Frieza. In fact, he spent his time sitting on the throne, a position of power. And my final piece of evidence is when he mocked Frieza for not being able to kill Trunks.
Well done, Frieza. It only took you 4 tries to destroy that little ball.
I was just warming up, father, really? And he was chuckling and laughing. If Frieza was stronger, he wouldn't dare do that, knowing Frieza's temperament. So for those reasons, in my mind, King Cole was definitely stronger. Now, can he transform? I'm going to keep this one real short and sweet. Never in the history of Dragon Ball Super, Z, and Dragon Ball, and in even the non-canon movies, has one family member had an ability that the other one didn't have. So that's my answer on that. He definitely could transform. Now, is this his final state? I'd rather debate whether or not this was his final form. This could have been his final form. He couldn't go further, but he definitely has some transformations up his sleeve. I got so excited. I guess I still need to go over the box. This is the packaging for King Cole. Obviously, we have the window box. We can see the majority of the figure. Really can't see the accessories unless you kind of tilt and look inside. But this is just a blown up standard packaging for SH Figuarts Dragon Ball characters. Down here we have toy animation seal sticker put on there, Dragon Ball Z, and a few more at Bandai, and I really can't see it, but you probably can. Side of the box, more artwork for King Cole. Top of the box, the panel continues of King Cole and his destructiveness. The back of the box, we have the product shot and the poses you can get him in, some of his accessories, a little bit of English back there, and we get an artwork portrait on the bottom of the box with King Cole in action. And on this side of the box, you can see in and see your toy a little bit better. So it's kind of packaged where you can leave it in the package, or you can open it and get it back in the package, which is very cool. So I'm going to get this guy open now without further ado and check him out. It's a double clam, nothing further in the box. Pink backdrop to make the box look that much more prettier. We actually get an instruction sheet this time. It's not printed on the inner flap of the box. It shows you how to plug in the sword, the extra arms, and how to work the cape. And on the back it has instructions for the head. Very nice. And the first clam has King Cole and the throne. I got something falling out. I can't even see it from my angle. I'm gonna reach for King Cole first. I love it when a toy line has to create a new body for a figure, especially what people are calling a one-off guy like this. I love new body sculpts. And oh, wow. Look at mine. Mine has some stains on it. Hopefully I can get that off before we get started. And it's on the front of his bicep over here. But yeah, that kind of sucks. I wonder what is that. I wonder if it's joint oil. I hope it rubs off. Yep. For the most part, it's rubbing off. I'm going to try to rub it off before I get started. But I'll let you know how it goes. And we have a piece of the cape that fell off. I don't know if it's packaged up here. And the throne. And it is solid. I mean, it's not solid. I mean, but it's not drilled out. Okay, before I start grabbing and putting things together, let's take a look at everything that was in the packaging. We get King Cole himself, obviously, tail unattached. I got it thrown in the chair. We get, not counting the packed in clenched fists, we get a pair of sword holding fist hands. We get some open like power key blast hands. We get the chill hand for when you're sitting in the chair, and I believe the wine glass holding hand. We get a complete secondary head with 2 face plates for it, and both of the face plates are a type of angry expression. We got the open mouth yelling, and we got the teeth gritting face, which I've already attached to that head. Then the extra face plate on the turntable is a slightly grinning face for the standard head that's already on the body. We get the ever included crossed arms for our King Cole. And we also get 3 different pieces to assemble the cape in various poses, and then the throne itself. So let's move on to the hands-on portion of the review. Okay, I wiped off that residue, and it's sort of stained the plastic in some places. I'm going to talk about that. Normally we start with the head, but I'm going to get the cape assembled first before we take a look at our guy. Get this on him. There are some giant ports in his back, so he kind of has to wear the cape at all times. I mean, he did in the times that we saw him, but you're going to have to leave this on there. It's going to look pretty rough. I'm going to assemble this bottom half first. Get it into the pegs. And then this top piece right here. Now, in my opinion, it should have been a cloth cape. They could have kept the front plastic, and then where this pegs in, make this cloth, and we don't have to interchange anything. Just put a wire in it, and we are done with it. You know what I'm saying? You go in the chair, sit down, stand up, whatever. But here he is now. Let's take a look at King Cole's face. And if I call this guy Frieza throughout the review, I'm probably going to say at least 10 times if I haven't said it 4 or 5 already. But this is King Cole, and I know it's King Cole. You don't have to drag me in the comments. Well, all right, let's take a look at that face. He looks just like second form Frieza, just larger. It looks great. Second form Frieza is one of my favorite SH Figuarts toys, period. And I think this is going to come in the top 5. Easy. Easy. And there's some more of that stuff. I don't think it's paint because it kind of smeared when I rubbed it on other places. Well, yeah, that sucks. Shiny turquoise part in the middle of his helmet. He has the purple skin. His face and lips seem to be painted well on the sculpts. And he has those horns we talked about, or I talked about, with like the growth rings. The gold buttons that hold down the cape are satin or matte finish. The cape is also a matte finish. He's wearing the sand armor. Now, is this Frieza Force armor or sand armor? I always thought it was sand armor, and the Frieza Force kind of adapted it, because why else would Vegeta still be wearing the armor of the people who basically enslaved him? I don't know. Spinning around, satin finish throughout. And again, the reverse of the red part of the cape is red plastic. His entire body is purple plastic for the most part. These gauntlets on his wrist are a separate white plastic. His hands continue the purple plastic. His 2 fingernails that we are able to see, which are on his thumbs, are painted black. Oh, let's get the plastic out of here. Prevents scuffing in transit. As you can see, his armor is nice and shiny, except for like the ridges right here. It is a matte finish on the shoulders as well. I like what they've done here. His trunks are just a little bit shiny. It's like a blue, not quite purple. It's done in a matte. Oh, I didn't get his tail out here. Let's get his tail out here. One gigantic tail. It is huge. It might not seem so big if I didn't have second form Frieza, but after having that tail, this thing is huge. It's like a bright pink. Looks very cool. Get it on in one try, and there we go. With the tail on the table, obviously it helps him balance, and he's standing up. And so outside of that weird residue, I have no complaints about the actual sculpted, molded body so far. Nothing weird about the joints, but yeah, there's some more of that stuff like right there. And like it rubs off for the most part, but it kind of leaves a smear in the plastic. Maybe I can like clean it up a little bit better when the review's over. And you can see where I like try to get it off the knuckle right here, but it's kind of like pushed into the plastic now. I don't know. Hopefully I can take care of that. And I don't know what happened. Somebody at the factory was eating soy sauce. I have no hope it's soy sauce. Anyway, let's move on to his articulation. I'll worry about his balancing a little bit later. Start with his head. And we can have King Cole look up this far, which is great. We see a giant gap in his neck. That's the neck and the head moving together, by the way. Just the head alone is just a little bit. But together, you can look up this far. Together, he can look down this far, which is a lot. Just the head is this much. It's on the ball. Should 360. I don't know. The Adam's apple. I want 360 between the helmeted head or whatever, but he can look this far to the side and this far, which is plenty. Faceplate coming loose a little bit. Back to that neck joint. It'll rotate on its own without the head, and the head rotates as well. So the articulation is there in the head neck region. Arms, we can get them up this far, which is nice. Butterfly joint in there will come out this far. It's pretty cool. We can bring this down and not have to look at how terrible that breakup is. And we get a full 360 at the shoulder. Full 360 at the bicep swivel. Double jointed elbow. We can get a lot out of that. Frieza's wrist hinge 360s. And it's the in and out, up and out. It's the in and out hinge right there. Coming to his midsection. You can turn this far to right, or my right, and this far to his right. And I don't think if you spin it for a 360, you're gonna scratch this paint over this white plastic. I'm not gonna do that. He can bend over this much from that joint and back this far. I guess this section could have been a little bit better. It'll go for a stiff 360, a squeaky 360. We won't do that again. Splits, front to back kick, upper thigh swivel, full 360. Double jointed knee, that's pretty good for the big guy. Coming to his foot, it's on another ball just like his hand. 360 all the way around, side to side, front and back. And finally we have the cape and tail articulation. The tail is plugged in at his backside right here. He articulated 360s and it has a little bit of up and down and side to side. Then he has a secondary articulation. Same thing, it's a giant ball joint. It'll 360, completely rotate on his hinge and move side to side, in and out, a lot of articulation. Then he has a third hinge, up and down, same thing, 360. And then the articulation of the cape, we kind of took a look at that. It just flaps up and down. Move on to accessories, and we have the first interchangeable faceplate and the only other interchangeable faceplate for this particular helmet head. Let's pop it off. And we just slot it out. And the two, you can't confuse the two because they're shaped differently on the inner part of the helmet. Just take the smirking face, plug it right in here, and pop it back onto the ball joint. And here we go, a bit of a close-up. Looks very good, that smirking, cocky face. I saw online where a lot of people were complaining about the faceplates, that if you push them up too far, you obscure the eyes. So I didn't push mine all the way in, but let's check that out. So yeah, this is the faceplate pushed all the way in, and we kind of lose the eyes. They turn really, really beady. So you don't want to push the faceplate up as far as it can go. Now I'm going to switch to the second head, and let's pop this out. Let's take a look real quick. And this one has sort of a half moon shape, so you can't confuse the two. Start with the gritting teeth face. Alright, popping on the gritting teeth face, and one of the eyes is a little bit wonky. It's kind of very close to the brow, and I don't even have him pushed up all the way. I don't know if it's meant to be that way because he was like grimacing in pain, and he's sort of like, and it's supposed to be drifting. But let's see if we can push it up some more. Alright, this is as far up as the faceplate goes, and yeah, that one eye is definitely off. It may be meant to be that way. I don't know. Let me know in the comments, anybody. And lastly, we have the shouting face. And if you check out my videos, the shouting faces are always my favorite. So this is my favorite face. And this is like that face. Either this is the hole being blasted at him, or when he saw Frieza chopped, he was like, Frieza! Ah, ah. Next up are the interchangeable hands. Here are a pair of open palm hands. Nicely sculpted on both sides. Fingernails painted black. Let's pop this off. Pop that one on. Now you can have King Cole talking or gesturing. May I have a look at your sword? Next up are the sword-wielding fists. They're similar to the standard fist, obviously, but with a hole to accommodate the sword. Here is the large version of Trunks' sword. And yes, a lot of people were saying like they just made it bigger for the figure, but no, it actually grew in the cartoon. I'll put a pic in just a sec, but it's I believe it's all brown and the sword is just painted silver. The little hilt piece only goes on one way, specifically designed, I guess, to lock in. I don't know how well it locks in. Here is Trunks' sword, the standard size sword, and it is pretty much identical. Right now, to get it in King Cole's hand, we are going to go right over left, right? Is that how it's done? Right over left. Put it in as far as I can. And take the left hand, do the same. Then put the little nub back on. And there we go, on nice and tight. And here's King Cole wielding the sword in a batter's position. He's about to take a swing on Trunks. He just knew he had it won. And of course you can get King Cole wielding the sword with one hand, admiring the blade. I'm never the first guy to review these things, but I'm probably the first guy to answer the question, can King Cole wield the standard Trunks size sword? And yes, it's a bit wobbly, but because it locks in at the bottom, it will not fall out. And SH Figuarts badasses all have to have the crossed arms. I think they go like this. And okay, got the folded arms on. Had a little bit of trouble and there's a little bit of gap on this side, no matter how hard I pushed. But here's the look, and it looks pretty darn good once you get it on there. King Cole's last set of hands are these specifically positioned hands for him to lounge in the chair. This one is slightly open palm, slightly gripping, I want to say. Or just relaxing at his side type hand you can use it for. And this hand is specifically designed to rest on his face while he's lounging in the chair, like he doesn't want to be bothered. He's not really listening to Frieza. So let's get this guy in the chair. Check it out. We're going to need this chair cape. I guess it is. I'll take off, and this is another reason why we needed a cloth cape. Cloth cape would have ended that. This off, same two plugs into these holes right here. It's on the exact same hinge, so it can move up and down for whatever that's worth. Let's put this back. Now this is clever, and it's not at the same time. It's designed to specifically sit in one position in the throne that probably shot the price way up, and it only can really be used one way with King Cole. So we got to get the molding of the capes on the sides into the molding of the chair. Kind of bring the tail through just a little bit. Alright, it took less effort than I thought to pull off the pose from the anime and from the box. I got this arm down on the armrest as well as this one. He has his hands on his brow. In order to get the two knuckles on the face, it like really it keeps pulling back. But from certain angles, you'll never know he's not completely touching his face. He looks good in the throne. Spinning around, there's a little bit of a gap right here created from his tail back there that won't let him rest all the way back. But yeah, still looks good from all angles. I'm not so sure we actually needed the throne, but it looks cool. He may take up less room on the shelf height-wise if you display him sitting in a chair, especially next to Frieza, like this. And we can even get a glass of wine in his hand. And here we go. Looks like I'm going to have to find a bigger glass, but it still looks cool. Okay, it's time to give King Cole the size up and the rundown. And I want to bring out a couple figures that are much larger than the standard figures of their toy line. From McFarlane's DC Multiverse, here's Green Lantern Kilowog. From the Marvel Legends, here is the first release of Red Hulk. And from Super 7's Ultimates Thundercats, here's Mum-Ra. From SH Figuarts Dragonball, here is Second Form Frieza, Mecha Frieza, Super Saiyajin Trunks, Son Goku, Full Power Broly, and lastly, Great Ape Vegeta. Oh, look, son. The last time I saw a monkey this big, it was between your mom's legs. And there is no better comparison than the animation. And with the folded arms. Alright, for my last animation comparison, I want to try action pose. Alright, he sort of kind of pulls it off. Alright, let's wrap it up on SH Figuarts King Cole. I really like this figure. I like everything about it. I didn't have any QC issues. He truly captured the animation look. I give SH Figuarts King Cole an 8 out of 10. The only way he could have been higher is if he had a neutral faceplate and a wired cape. And when you consider him having to sit in the chair in that one specific position, pretty much, you can kind of work it around where you can sit in other positions. But when he's designed just to sit in that one position, that's kind of a bummer. Especially knowing that the throne probably drove the price point up at least 30, 35 bucks. Considering those two things, I give this figure an 8 out of 10. Solid 8 out of 10. The only other real critique I have for this figure is the articulation in the arms and the shoulders. When you're doing a two-handed sword pose, you can't really cock it back to the one side because the arm doesn't reach quite as far across the body as I would like. And it could be due to the large biceps and the wide chest, but it seemed like he should have been able to cock the sword back just a little bit more in like that batter's pose like he's about to swing it. Other than that, absolutely great figure. Only thing they left out is the wine glass that he had. Now, do I recommend this figure for the aftermarket prices? I paid $212 for mine. He retailed through Premium Bandai at $150. People were saying after shipping he was $170. So I paid what, $60 over retail price. And he's currently up for pre-order on BigBadToyStore.com. It says November shipping on it, so he's probably shipping any day now. When I looked on Big Bad before I bought this figure, it said he was sold out. I don't know if people canceled, they got more. I don't know what happened, but he's currently up on Big Bad right now. And do I recommend him at that price? Even though I love this figure, that's kind of tough because I think he's probably going to get a re-release. And even if they don't do a straight up re-release, I can see this figure getting a con exclusive, you know, where they do like that glossy paint job like they did on Jiren and Trunks and Shinron, and maybe a later release as the Broly movie King Cole where the cape was just done in all red. I don't think they're gonna just one-shot this mold because it's too good for that. So I would say if you're kind of still on the fence even after watching the reviews that are out there and you really think he's overpriced, which he kind of was, I'd say hold off on it. But if you just hardcore, you collected Zarbon and Dodoria, I think you got to get this guy too. So that's all I got for you guys. If you enjoyed the review, please hit like. And if you're new to the channel, think about subscribing. I want to thank you all for joining me for another episode of George Reviews. The reviews of every toy at the store.